healing, hope, community, a place to heal. Relax, be yourself, and be surrounded by those who want to see you blossom and or bloom, blossom and or bloom. I am Jessica Sup. I am a Reiki Master Teacher and Intuitive, and today we have a special healing session. It is all about you want what you want, so not feeling bad for wanting what you want, infusing yourself with confidence. That's a little clue for next month. And giving the energy to your dreams and your goals. So freeing yourself into actually liking what you like and even celebrating your uniqueness towards it. So if you're new to the community, welcome, 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 babies. This is your nightly self-care routine, a place where you heal, you work on yourself, you set this time aside to self-care. So welcome, welcome, welcome to all my new babies, and welcome, welcome back to all my returning babies. Mama loves you. Let's go ahead and get started, okay? We start our session off with a prayer. It is not a religious prayer. It is just a prayer to root us in our individual healing and bring us together as a community and as a collective. And because consent matters, to have your permission to say a prayer. Okay. Bringing hands to heart. Boom. Inhale, bringing that energy down. You ready? Dear universe, and all for the highest vibrational good only, please connect us to our higher self. Invalidate information from our highest good only. Please allow us to release what we need to let go and embrace what allows us to grow. Let our journey encompass the lineages, traditions, religions, and spiritual paths that bring light out through us to share with others. I say all of this in the name of I am. Ashe. Okay. Oh, inhaling and exhaling. Release. Okay. Now it's time to get in an energetic state where you feel comfortable being yourself. You feel comfortable just showing up in the world, in the space, as yourself. It is important. Do not try to show up as a carbon copy of something else. Be yourself. And that's going to look different. You're going to have different interests. You're going to have different hobbies, goals, desires, teachers, students, all of these things. And that's what makes you special, unique, and your message needs to be heard, okay? So in this space of energy, start to just feel in your body, in your physical body, and start to see how everything that you've experienced in life helped you get to this moment. That richness of your experience is what allows you the ability to share the perspective that you have in the way that you have it. Release any desire to want to fit in. Release any desire to want to just be kind of a carbon copy of somebody else or something else. Release all of that. Inhaling and exhaling. You know, as you know, I'm a Reiki Master Teacher. I'm a teacher, so I teach others who are Reiki practitioners. And I guess that's a shout out because it's actually about to open up very soon, the Reiki Master Teacher cohort for 2022. But I'm actually not really talking about that. I'm talking about this. What I notice is that sometimes I'll have people, when they first meet me and we're working in this space, they think that I want to hear them say things the way that I say them, or to share the same type of outlook on life that I do. And I think that there are some commonalities we should all have. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, But the richness, okay, of the experience that someone has as they come into the practice, there are other, modalities that really illuminate their path. That is what we need in the space. That is what brings a richness to teaching. And even though I'm a Reiki Master Teacher and I teach Reiki Masters, I attune people who want to go in the path of Reiki, honestly, I'm teaching people how to be energy healing practitioners, because we start with Reiki, but we quickly grow and expand. And I always challenge everyone, Reiki is the beginning, but you have to be responsible for your continued education, your continued learning, your expanding on other modalities. But I see that people who want to be in a safe space, whether you want to be a practitioner or not, want to be in a safe space, and they have literally been brainwashed into believing that being in a safe space means everybody thinks alike, everybody talks alike, sometimes everybody looks alike. creating culture and then making it new here. And so, with that being said, when I started on my Reiki journey, and this is really important for liking and wanting what you want, I was like, fuck all that shit. I'm about to make a space where everyone can be. If you believe in this, or if you are, curious of that, have a safe space, because people want to be in community, but you will have a hard time finding somebody who believes in everything the way that you believe in it. And if you do, y'all will eventually hit a path where you rightfully so disagree on something, and then y'all start to, oh, it's so bad. No, communities can be created in spaces where everyone can coexist and work and be supportive and be centered around equity and social justice. There is so many, not to go on a tangent of a tangent, but there were so many times that I would be in spiritual spaces, and being a woman of color, being a gay woman, being a woman of a different marginal backgrounds, as well as to encompass and have privileged backgrounds as well, have people who weren't of those marginalized backgrounds sit and tell me, that I was creating my own problems, or kind of hinting like, oh, that problem doesn't exist. And now we know that that would be, especially, we can like name it now. We now know that, oh, that's somebody being misogynistic, or that's somebody being homophobic, or that's someone not understanding their white privilege and being in the U.S. society, or that's someone being classist, or that's someone like having these different narratives that go on. When I started, there was no space to call people. I mean, people could call people out, but it was not as accepted now. But now I'm saying that there is such an open space to be able to be like, hell no, I'm not doing that weird shit. I'm not just following somebody's rules. That when you have that, you understand, whoa, I can do whatever I want. Like, whatever's in your heart, the universe has now set up a time where you can actually go out there and get what you want. You can go out there and connect with people and heal with people and be in collective spaces with people without everybody having to mindlessly follow everybody else. It really is a beautiful time. I think so, in that space, in that perspective. And I have been talking about this for the past 2 years. When Saturn goes into Pisces, and we have this for those who have their Saturn return in Pisces, and for everybody else who's going to be experiencing this Saturn in Pisces, this will be a huge crisis of faith, because faith is the belief in something even when you can't see it. So if you ever heard somebody, I'll see it when, I'll believe it when I see it. But then we know in manifesting and light work, you have to, believe it before you can see it. So it's going to be a lot of Saturn. Saturn are the tough lessons in that kind of stuff. And what's going to happen is those communities that are the most inclusive, those communities that are the most open, those communities that are the most welcome, and say, come on, we're going to figure this out together, or we're going to hold a space while we're all individually figuring it out. Those are the spaces where people will be fed energetically. Okay, not told what to do and mindlessly go like a puppet. Saying all that to say, I know there was a lot to say, but I'm saying all of that to say, you in your heart want what you want. You like what you like. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, you have to bring those feelings out into reality. You have to find a way. Nobody is going to come over here and just like, oh yeah, I see you. I'm going to track you down and make sure that your dreams don't come through. No, everybody's too busy worried about themselves, okay? You gotta make these things come true. It is a part of your soul's sometimes when it goes left, like these cults that all believe the same thing, and then they start believing real bonkers stuff, but they're in a group, the group is coming together. You ever been in a situation of where it happened to you, you've been a part of it, or you've seen it, where if enough people come together and lie on somebody else, like tell a lie about somebody else, for some reason that becomes reality. Even though those people know what they're doing is wrong, they feel like, oh, this is the right thing because the group is doing it. Because we so desperately want to be a part of a group and a collective. We can be a part of collective energy without all having to be one weapon to be used against those who are not in the group. So, if you are one for the freedom of your internal, progress and pursuits of life, then you have to, it is very imperative of you to go out here and connect yourself with what your soul is telling you to do, and know that anything that shows up, any obstacle, can be overcome. Anything that is like, oh, I don't think it's going to work out, you can figure it out. And the more that we have that understanding, that awareness, that access, the more that we can make anything happen. And again, I'm telling you, this is a beautiful time in the fact that people are no longer as susceptible to being brainwashed. Now, you can still get brainwashed, but they're less susceptible because they are seeing different messages showing up as well. So if somebody tries to tell you, oh, here it is, everything's perfect, the grass is always green, you'll find somebody else who was in that same situation like, this what I thought, it ain't work out. So if you choose to go in there, you're like, you kind of understand what to expect, versus you can also say, I don't want to be in it, or I'm going to do this for a little bit. Saying all that to say that as you go on your soul's journey, on your soul's mission, and you want to be in collective and people, and you are doing things that will ultimately help others, trust and have faith in your path. Trust and have faith in the energy. There is nothing to be afraid about. There's nothing to be scared about. There's nothing to be sad about. Setbacks happen. That's life. That's regular. But you don't have to be afraid about it. You don't have to be sad about it, fearful about it. You just have to get through it. You just have to get to the other side. And you will. The only way you won't get to the other side is if you stop. Literally, if you stop. But if you keep going, even if you go slow, you will get to the other side. And do not believe anyone who tells you you're not going to be able to make it to the other side unless you're with them or with their group or something like that. Baby, you can get to the other side. A little bit more of a tangent on a tangent is, in the esoteric world, there's certain practices, certain traditions, whether it is modern modalities or more traditional indigenous modalities that are found all around the world. And there are certain practices, for example, like curse removal or things like that, in different lineages, different practices, both modern and older, where there's a belief that you can't release yourself from that, that bind. You need to get a practitioner, and that's true. You can go and get a practitioner to release you from that, but you actually can. You as an individual can. The way that you release yourself from any bind like that, it is a breaking of habits and a new creation of a personality. And people who are kind of stuck in that karmic cycle right there, they are so engulfed by everything following that, we'll say curse, following that curse on them, that their environment, their people around, everything is following that path, that they don't think that they can get out of it. But the reality is, if you change your environment, you change your people, you change your mentality, you change everything, you can release yourself from that. But that means you may not be able to talk to your family, and some will make it with you, some will not make it with you. They're gonna have to stay where they're at. You may not talk to the same friends, some will make it with you, or come in the same path as you, some will not. You may not have to have the same job. It doesn't mean you're gonna be out here without a job, but you may not have the same job. Oftentimes you'll have to let that go in order to get something better. You may not live in the same place. You may not have the same mentality, the things that make you feel familiar. Because sometimes things that are that you've never experienced before in order to break that. That's how you do it on your own. Well, if you happen to have access to a practitioner, or you are, someone who has the means, you can go to someone else and they, on your behalf, will, depending on their tradition, start to sever those cords. So instead of you having to pull yourself out, they sever those cords, and guess what? You're not going to talk to your family in the same way. Some will come with you, some will not. You won't be around the same friends in the same way, the same love as well, the same work environment, stuff like that. So I just gave you an example of how you can do it on your own, or you can go to a practitioner. But at the end of the day, it's going to change. The end goal will always be over here. So I'm saying all of that to say that you have the power to overcome anything. I really mean it, anything. And find your community as well. Sometimes we're having a different experience. For all of those out there who have different gifts or different experiences and different walks in life, you can find a community who can support you rather than trying to force yourself to fit in a community that vilifies you and makes you feel like you are very othered. There are all these different community and spaces that pop up that already exist and that you also can create yourself. There is no reason why you cannot want what you want. Okay, I'm done. So I'm ready to see some shifts and some changes going on. Next month is going to be all about stepping into this energy, baby, and we gonna do it. Okay, well, sweetness, just needed you to know that was the message that came. I want you to know that you are loved. You are loved by the community. You are loved by the collective. But love yourself. Love yourself a little bit more and more each and every day. Not love yourself a little bit, like love yourself a little bit more. It's like pause. Each and every day. And when you do that, you will release any fears that have been built up over time and take yourself to where you need to go. Well, I'll see you next time, because I'm going to be here, doing what I need to do. Having a good time, enjoying life. Side note to a side note to a side note. One thing that I think is super cool is I think the aging process on me, besides me looking great. No, I'm just kidding. The aging process on me has been doing such a wonderful thing. I've been talking about this. Like, I recently had a birthday. I'm in the 30s and up club. But I remember when I turned 30 and I felt like things are shifting, and to have like this next level of energy that's like, I don't give a fuck, I can do whatever I want to do. And also know that things don't have to be done for show. That happiness is actually closer in reach than some of the goals that I could have set when I was, in my 20s. And it's interesting how the perspective, at least for me, is I'm not making nothing hard on myself no more. I'm not putting huge barriers on myself anymore to happiness. I have my big goals, and I'm going to give myself time to have those goals.